Well, folks, do you want to have a laugh and a giggle? Look at this. The overzealous Online Safety Act means showing ID to get a pizza delivered. I just hate this Online Safety Act because it literally tells nothing to anyone. It's just them, and it's like that thick. The actual act, if you want to, download it, print out the pages, it's like reading a bloody novel, you know? The government's new bill is hopeless, writes Chris Stokely-Walker. We do need protection for children, so don't repeal it. Rewrite it. Exactly. It needs to be done. So, want to order dinner from Pizza Hut? You'll have to show ID before you can take the box. Want to learn about what's happening in Gaza and Ukraine via social media? Ditto. Do you want to watch an MP's common speech on stopping this? Sign up to Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's new political party? Or send a message to a friend on Blue Sky? Listen to a podcast on Spotify? Get online support to stop smoking or to stop drinking? Yes, all together now, you'll have to show ID first. Every time I read an article about this, it just shows that every person is against it. And I am all for it, with them. Because it's just absolutely just bizarre. Welcome to the new normal. Thanks to the government's Online Safety Act, possibly our most vaguely drafted bit of legislation. It limped into force at the end of July with a stated aim of restricting children's access to adult material and any material that promotes this sort of stuff. Few will disagree that children being able to access such content is a real issue, and indeed, public polling from YouGov suggests that 80% of the country agrees with the element of the Act, although the question they're asked is simply whether they think kids shouldn't watch this. The problem is that this is Frankenstein's monster of a law, years in the making thanks to a contentious game of parliamentary ping-pong. Isn't just, as the government is trying to spin it, a way to protect your child from online harm. It's not, though. Like we said, we've gone over this so much, and we are now seeing journalists go against it, mostly because with journalists, it goes against their lives. It really does. Because if you're going to be like, oh, we need to know if you're of certain age, and say you're a journalist, you can go online, you can meet someone or whatever, it could be a source, could be a serious story, and to get access to one of these things, oh, right, okay, I need to provide my ID and, facial and all this kind of stuff. What if that then gets hacked? All of this data is out there. Every single bit of information that the journalist and their source could have swapped or could have talked about is out there. This journalist or the source could end up under the ground. This is the problem. The dragnet put into law by the government is so broad that users are being prompted to prove they're of age when they visit websites that have nothing whatsoever to do with these topics. Make no mistake, this is the digital equivalent of Brexit border checks, an unnecessary and self-inflicted bureaucracy that makes life materially harder and more frustrating for us all, simply to appease a small number of shouty voices, yes. And we've talked about this on this channel before. The people who scream and shout the loudest is always the smaller groups, because people take notice and then they lumber all of those people under one roof. And that just not goes. And this is exactly what's happened by here. So, as we talked about before with Peter Kyle, already support for the act is waning. 4 in 5 of us supported it before it was implemented. When the rubber hit the road and stop and search style age checks started popping up on web browsers and phone screens, support dropped to 69%. You have 31% of the country or whoever, oh yes, this should be good, yes. And they're also going to be the type of people who would go, well, why not verify your age? Why? What's wrong with that? What have you got to hide? Nothing. I just like my privacy. I don't want my passport details, my driving license details, my bank details, just being on some website's hard drive or server if I want to go on a website and order a bloody pizza, order a takeaway or, Chinese food or anything. This is absolutely insane. And the majority of people, they are against it. We even had a look at this by here. So 500,000 people have signed a petition to ask the government to repeal it. But how many is on it at the moment? There we go. And it's still growing. But if you remember, the government responded almost in record time, which they knew this was happening, and they were like, oh, we gotta put a draft up now, see if anything happens. But then you say, Parliament will consider this for debate. All petitions that get more than 100,000 signatures for a debate, waiting 18 days for a debate date. And this was their response. As you can see, they literally went, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to put our fingers in our ears and go, la, 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 la. We can't hear you. And it's absolutely nuts. It really is. So, the government has said they hear the criticism, but they're not going to listen, and has indeed told the likes of Nigel Farage and Reform UK that opposing the act means you're on the side of predators like this person here. That one by there. I've used this in quite a lot of the videos, because this Peter Kyle, the guy who said this, it's like, mate, maybe you should have your hard drives checked. Because you're the one who's screaming and shouting, if you're against this, if you don't like this, blah, 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 you're one of them. Those people normally turn out to be the people that they're saying shouldn't be out there. It's called projection. We have done it a lot on this channel. We've done it with AH, Evan Rachel Wood, and a whole host of other people who project. And when it comes out in the wash that that person who is screaming and shouting about all of these things turns out to be that sort of thing, they start crying. I didn't mean to. Yeah. This Peter Carl saying this has not done him any good. Literally, it hasn't. Everyone, I'd probably say, like I say, but there, about 69%, you probably got about 80 to 90% of the UK now who do not trust this man. Because he said, if you don't want us to take your photo, you're one of these. That ain't good. The reality is that the Online Safety Act was always going to flounder, and anyone in government might have realised this would happen. Legislating the act was always a game of parliamentary pass the parcel, where whoever was caught holding it when the music stopped would unwrap a booby trap ready to explode. Yeah. 2023 is when this law was passed. Within 2 hours of this law being passed and saying it's not going to come into effect though until July 2025, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, all these other social media platforms received letters from the UK government stating you should ban Russell Brand because he's been accused. Now remember, this was at the time when he was not convicted, but when he was accused. Obviously, a lot of other stuff's happened since then, but at that time, it was just an accused person. That's what he was. And it's absolutely nuts. A different government might have kicked the can down the road for the next lot to handle, but they didn't. So here we are, lumbered with a law that doesn't work and which is a massive inconvenience to everyone. Now they've seen how it works, the proportion of the public who think the act won't be effective in its goals of stopping those under the age of 18 getting access to adult content has shot up. Exactly. It doesn't help that you can get around the supposedly world-leading age verification checks by opening up a new tab and typing in 3 little letters, VPN, or loading up a video game and pointing your camera at a character instead. Yeah, that one there has really made me chuckle. We're used to politicians telling us up is down and night is day, but don't be fooled. This isn't working and it never will. We do need protections for children, we do, so don't follow Farage's advice. Don't repeal it, rewrite the law. That is exactly true about all of this. But they won't do it. They won't change it. They won't rewrite any of it. And with some of the new laws that is coming into play in a matter of months regarding this, it's only going to get worse. At this moment in time, you're asked to verify your age, like I said, your driver's license or whatever, just to see if you want anime, just to see if you want to check certain news stories. And that is because the Online Safety Act, there's nothing written in it that tells people what needs to be censored. That is literally it. They're just saying, oh, well, you can't do this. Well, okay then. So what are we actually going to try and ban? Maybe do certain words? You know, you can't really say violent is one thing because, again, that can mean a whole host of different things. It could be a news story, you know, a violent attack on this person or whatever. Hell, even if you do certain PlayStation, Xbox, or PC games, oh, these are for, you know, for an older person, okay. But then again, they've had this sort of thing for decades now since the internet came around, the age verification, where you just put in your date of birth. Yes, it wasn't exactly perfect, and if you're 13 or whatever and you want to look for something, you can just lie. But the thing is, that is not down to these websites. It's down to the parents. If kids are looking at these things, what are the parents doing? Maybe the parents should take accountability for things. And with this, the government are going, oh yeah, we're saving the kids, we want to protect kids. Okay. But the people in government, some people who are in power now and the ones who were in power, you let certain people do horrible things to kids. And you allowed it. Even when the public was screaming and shouting at you, telling you what was going on, you put your fingers in your ears and you just went, I'm not listening. But now you want to tell us that you want to protect the kids? I don't buy that for a second. I really don't. Let us know what you think about this down below, folks. Are you ordering a pizza and are you putting in your age verification and your ID and your passport and your bank details just to prove that you are over the age of 18 if you want to, order a pepperoni and pineapple pizza? Let us know down below, folks. If you are new to the channel, like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Take care. Goodbye.